Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 6, written by user GazzaLPG, describes an encounter with a UFO, feeling out of body during the encounter. Bicester, UK. I had a strange experience 12 years ago, where I had this fascination out of the blue with UFOs and feeling the need of sitting out and looking for them. I was only 14 at the time, and UFOs or aliens I had never thought about before. I couldn't have cared less at that age either. The next day, I forced some of my family to sit in the garden with me under the stars on an amazing clear evening. We were talking for about 10 minutes, then I noticed a strange white light, just like a spotlight that you would get in the kitchen. Bright but dull in color, as if it was attached to something. Like oval in shape, this is how I knew it was attached. This light slowly moved over the houses to the left of us, with no noise, and stopped right in front of us, probably 100 feet in the air, and probably 200 feet away. Now this is where it gets weird. I feel this strange feeling erupt in my chest, like an adrenaline rush. But it wasn't. I felt like I had lost the sense of time, and where I was almost as if I was unconscious. But at the same time, I was fixated on this light, but not actually there with my body. It's extremely hard to explain. All of a sudden the light brightens, and as best as I can describe, pings at a speed and acceleration I have never seen in my life. 0 to 200,000 miles per hour maybe. Seriously fast though, and still no noise. I lost track of it for a second, then something made me look up in the sky above, and I noticed the white light miles and miles up, as small as a star, and then zip into space, leaving a small trail of light behind it like a comet. My family had said nothing the whole time. We all looked at each other after, and no one could say anything. I think everyone was beyond frightened that an object like that exists. Anyone else seen anything similar? Case notes, file number 6. Okay, so that detail about the ship leaving behind a trail like a comet, that's so interesting. I mean, I've never even heard of that before. Normally they're very stealthy, I guess is the word. Besides the obvious spotlight that you see, but only when they're attending to abduct someone. Usually that is just turned off. Maybe for some reason they forgot. And this bending of light as it traveled and maybe warped gravity somehow caused like a trail of light behind it? I don't know. As for your feeling of out of consciousness, out of body, I think describing it almost like a trance, a strong hypnotic state, is most accurate. Whatever effect that ship's energy had on you and your family, the feeling must have been frightening. If anyone hasn't seen Let Me Know's video on UFO encounters by military personnel, I highly recommend it. The most prominent aspect to those videos is just how quickly and seemingly without consideration to conserving momentum, or G-forces for that matter, those ships are able to fly. Even if we somehow could make a ship go that fast and accelerate that quickly, every single person alive on that vessel would be turned into human pudding. G-forces are no joke. There's really nothing we have on Earth that could do that, so what you saw must not have been from this Earth. I wonder how many alien races there are, and I wonder how we're not able to detect them. But that's a tangent for another day. Case file number 7, written by user shyguygyn, describes a sleep paralysis episode where the hallucination is seen by both him and his wife, a shadow person. Hello. So I don't normally write long posts, but this was just too weird and fresh not to write down. So a little backstory. I've dealt with sleep paralysis and EHS, which is exploding head syndrome, since I was a little kid. I won't delve too deeply into this, but it's not uncommon for me to either feel like the beginnings of SP, inability to move, feeling another presence, or wake up seeing shadow people. I've maybe had 3 experiences in the past couple years, so it's definitely become less frequent than when I was young. Honestly, it scared the hell out of me as a kid, and still does sometimes now. But I've grown almost used to it and figured it's in my mind and not real. However, a couple nights ago, my wife and I were visiting her family for Thanksgiving in Kansas. It's a tiny town of 1,500 people and very quiet. We were staying in the basement of an extended family member I hadn't met before, so I was already on edge being in a new place. Well, I woke up from a nightmare, the kind that sticks with you, and I woke up to the all too familiar feeling of being unable to move. I was able to move my head a bit, and upon waking I noticed a figure about the size of a taller, bulky dude. There was no noise, but I watched it steadily move across the room from one corner to the next. We were sharing the room with my sister-in-law and her boyfriend, so I just figured it was her SO leaving. They had to head out around 5 AM, so I thought nothing of it. What did strike me after a minute after seeing this was that I hadn't heard them leave. The house is pre-manufactured from the 70s. The basement ceiling is exposed and it is 100% impossible for anybody to walk up the stairs and exit the house without hearing it. So I figured he'd gone to the bathroom, which is in the direction that I saw the figure moving towards. By this time, I could move my body, and upon positioning myself so I could see the bathroom, it was clear that nobody was there. It was creepy, but what really did it for me was when my wife, whom was laying on her side facing towards the bathroom, saw the exact same thing. She said it went into the bathroom and never reappeared. So yeah, we're both a little freaked out. I'm naturally a skeptical person, and I've always felt comfort in knowing that my experiences were in my mind. But now, I'm starting to wonder if there isn't more to it all. While I feel like my nightmare and the presence may be related, I didn't necessarily feel like this thing was malicious. We stayed one more night in that house, and I forced myself to stay up until I saw morning light. Case notes, file number 7. So the obvious point that both you and your wife saw the same thing eliminates sleep paralysis hallucinations as a viable explanation. I wonder if there are beings out there that are between realities. There's so many accounts of crossovers, but what if some of them don't actually cross over? They're like stuck in limbo, caught between what we describe even as reality, and in our waking moments, our ability to perceive them increases, just as we come out of our dreamlike state. I wonder if you ask that extended family member if they've ever seen a shadowy figure too, which doesn't produce any sound while moving. If my theory is correct, they're likely limited to specific locations, or rather, if they're still fully conscious and trapped, maybe they believe the solution to returning home is in the same location where they became trapped to begin with. I don't know, this is really out there. I'm not sure if this is a thing at all. And that concludes our case files for the night. If you did enjoy the video, I'll just throw out all the standard YouTube stuff, like, comment, share the video, it all helps. And if you'd like to subscribe, I upload Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 PM EST with new case files all the time. I'll see you there.